Hi everyone, welcome back to Scale to Exit with Alejandra Santos. And today is going to be a solo episode with myself. I'm actually going to talk about a very important concept that I feel that a lot of you probably out there are experiencing right now if you are thinking about exiting your business. But before I start, I really want to say thank you to everybody that's new to the podcast. Thank you and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm always very excited to have you here in this platform where I bring insightful conversations with business founders that have exited their business, investors of all kinds, PEs, M&As, brokerage, you name it, consultants, all here coming together for one purpose, and that one purpose is to really help you build a valuable and sellable asset that you can go and have a high return on your investment. All right, so welcome back. For everybody that's been here before, you know the drill. Please go ahead and like, share, comment, but mainly like and share and subscribe to the channel of choice. We're streaming everywhere. And just please, if you find this useful and you think that this is information that is so valuable that can be spread into your network communities, please go ahead. I'm also very happy to say that we are also streaming in one of the Boomers communities. Thank you, Graham Jeffrey, for putting us there. Very, very excited to be part of your community and bring insightful conversations and hopefully really make an impact inside as well. Okay, so I am going to talk about a very important concept today, and that concept is called Know Your Value Gap. So a lot of the times, and the reason why I bring this to the conversation right now is because more often than ever, I get into a conversation with a business owner that tells me, why is my valuation so low? Why I've worked for this business for so long, and I am in an EBITDA multiple, and I need to be on a 5x, 7x. That's what the industry is. And why are you valuing me so bad? So there's a few things to know about this, and I think I've said it before in previous episodes, and also I talk about it a lot. I mean, I talk about it so much because I see it so often, and I don't think I can ever stop talking about it. But valuation is is basically, in like basic terms, it really assesses the risk of your business for the potential buyer and what that potential buyer, how much money that person can bring in the future. So that's basically how we'll put it in like simple terms. So with that being said, if your business, you've been working in the business for a long time, but you see that your valuation is not where it needs to be, that is because probably there's a lot of risk there that you're not aware of. And the risk can be like you have concentration in a few customers rather than having a more diversified customer base. You could probably don't have any recurring revenue, so you don't really have a predictability in how much revenue or cash flow you're going to receive in the future years. There's no really or supplier or vendors that you rely on one supplier, one vendor. So that also increases the risk. You don't have any processes in place. So basically, if somebody leaves, then that work is not transferable to someone else. And that is a huge opportunity cost because hiring and letting people go or people leaving that rotational door is one of the most expensive for businesses. I mean, another one is that you don't have the culture to basically transfer your business to a new buyer. So what that means is that there's no really strong culture or value set, and you haven't really talked to your employees about it. So if they see you selling your business, then that means that they can actually as well leave before that happens, bring the value down. I mean, there's so many different areas that people don't really think about. They think there's only about revenue and EBITDA and profits, and yes, that's all those things are really, really important. Valuation is a more complex number. It's a more complex process. We're looking at a business as a whole, not just at the bottom line or your EBITDA. It depends though. I'm gonna make a very strong difference here. So if you're like, that's why in previous episodes I always say you really have to build your business according to the exit that you want to have. Because if you are thinking about selling to a PE company, well, guess what? Uh, they don't really care about culture so much. If whoever PE is listening to me, you guys know what's up. So they don't really care about culture. They bring their teams anyways. They do whatever they need to do, and then they make their profits, right? So a lot of the times you do have to see who your buyer would be, because those some things are not valuable to them. But if you have built the culture, you have built a amazing brand, something that you feel proud of, and obviously you feel proud no matter what. But what I'm trying to say is like there's a lot of unifying values in your organization. Then you probably want to pick a buyer that has some of those values. That way your team can don't stay with you, right? Stay with the next person. So yeah, those are a lot of factors that come into place when deciding to exit your business. This is why I am in this field, because there's a lot of opportunity to make a lot of big impact. And you know, with the boomers coming, you know, exiting their business in the next few years, which is the one of the biggest generations of wealth, right? They created like wealth through their business. There's a lot of opportunity to make things right. So, okay, but I do want to bring the attention back to the value gap. Okay, so what is the value gap? So there's three gaps. Okay, we have the profit gap, which means, you know, how much more profit do I need to bring? There is the wealth gap, meaning how much wealth do you have right now and how much wealth do you want to have in the future. And then there is the value gap, which is the valuation gap, which is the one that I work with, right? Obviously, I can always work in the profit gap and in the value gap, and I will bring a team or a colleague of mine to help you with the personal wealth gap. But my thing is the value gap. I really find a lot of satisfaction because it's very quantifiable when you make a few changes in your business. You can go from like a 1x to a 4x. So how does this value gap work? Okay, so value gap is a very interesting concept because it's not studied a lot and it's not really talked about a lot. People say, well, if I do this, I'm going to increase my valuation. Well, if I do that, I'm going to increase my valuation. But valuation, as I was saying, explaining before, is a very complex term. It's a term that not only looks at what you're doing right now to increase it, but how are you decreasing the risk in the eyes of your potential buyer? And how are you bringing cash flow for the potential person that's purchasing you? So, well, not you, your business. So the value gap. So if you are at a 1 million revenue, let's just say EBITDA, and then you are at a 3x, right? Let's just say 3x. But you're in the tech industry, and this is EBITDA, and the tech industry is highly valuable. 3x is really low in the tech industry. We all know that. So then why are you not in a higher valuation? So that is a value gap. So if you're here right now at 3x and you want to be on 5x, we have a 2x gap that we need to really bridge. And how do we get there? Well, the first step in order to create a process, right, which is what I help my clients with, is valuation, right? Let's look at your valuation, but not just one valuation method. We want to look at it at a few different valuation methods, especially depending on what industry you are, and if you're doing if you are at a seller's discretionary earning multiple or at an EBITDA multiple. So a lot of like Main Street, low middle market could be at a seller's discretionary, and a lot of, you know, more higher tier could be more at an EBITDA multiple. And those multiples are very different. And there's a few adjustments that come within it, but I don't want to like steer you away from the main topic. So how do we increase the value gap? So once we do a valuation assessment and we determine and identify your value, and you tell me, oh my God, what is going on, Alejandra? Why am I getting this value gap? Then we start creating a plan, because we start then kind of like peeling apart your business. We're peeling it apart. Like, why do we have such a low valuation when you have worked 15 years or 30 years in this business, and it should be valued more because you have so many locations, and what is going on? Okay. So we start breaking it down. We start breaking it down by obviously the top line revenue. What drives the top line revenue? Okay. And this is something that we can see, obviously, talk to the marketer in your business. We can see how the forecasting is getting done. We can see what your biggest platforms are in. We can see the channels that are making you more profitable. There's a lot of analysis that comes into that. Once we understand what's driving your top line revenue, then we start looking at concentrations. So after that, if it's a service business, like, okay, so you get your majority of revenue from 5 clients. And if I pick up the phone and talk to your clients, what would they say about you? So is this 5 clients would be with you forever? Are you replaceable by another agency, another company, as somebody internally? So we just start looking at those things. Do you have recurring revenue? Like, if I look at your top line revenue, is it one time off clients? Is it longer term contracts? How do you get your payments? Is it 30, 60 days? Is it once a quarter? Like, what are your contract terms looking like? All of those little things play a big part on your valuation, because nobody wants to buy a business where you don't get your money until you only get it once a quarter. Okay, so there's a few things there that come into play. And then we also look, obviously, we move down and we look at, other things like, what kind of contracts do you have with your vendors? Have you been with them a lot? What kinds of debt do you have in your balance sheet? Do you have a healthy APR? Are we renegotiating debt terms? Are we consolidating your debt? Figuring out a better balance sheet structure for you. Is this business highly leveraged on debt, or is it more organic? Is this business highly leveraged on ad spend, or what is the organic ratio of that? What is the percentage of expenses in relation to revenue? Is this a healthy percent? There is so much going on. Do you have financials? That's a big one. A lot of people don't have, and these are questions that I make if you have financials. If you don't have financials, then we got to give you some financials. That is the first starting point. And I love financials because it actually tells you the story of a business. It's actually really cool. It's like opening a book and reading the story of that business. It's pretty interesting to me. I geek out a lot on reading financials for businesses because there's so much there. There's so much you can tell people's resilient, grit, the challenges, how they overcame the challenges. It's really cool. But in all, right, we got to look at the balance sheet. We got to look at the profit and loss. How do we bring EBITDA up? How do we diversify our consumers? How do we diversify our suppliers? How do we improve our lines of credit? How do we improve our APR? If the business is highly leveraged, what can we do to make it, more organic? Like, there's a few things that and this is like an open discussion, right? So those are a few things that improve your value gap. And as it sounds to be a long process, it is a long process. I am not going to, put it all colorful and tell you that it's going to be in 6 months, because it's not. And every business is very, very different from one another. So yes, this is a long process, but when you decide to exit your business, are you deciding because what is that underlying situation behind your decision? Is it health related? Because if it's health related, then there's other kinds of excess that can happen. And a lot of those can be, given to a family member, given to an employee, do a management buyout. And you can talk to somebody like me about your options, but a lot of that will influence on the timeline that it's going to take to build an asset that can be sell at a higher return, I would say. Now, if your decision is influenced because you're tired and you have the time to really invest in someone like me to come in and really help you, break the bones and put it back together. And I wouldn't say break the bones because the foundation is there, but just improve the business altogether to increase the business value at the eyes of the purchaser, and help you do negotiations and all that good stuff, then yes, I would say it will be a few years. It could take about 2 to 3 years to really set somebody for success. And given sometimes the economy and how things can be, so you also want to be strategic on when you want to go for that exit. So yeah, I really wanted to give you guys a little bit of this education. And let me see, I actually have my book here that I want to talk about one thing. Okay. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to touch base before actually I end this is when you're looking at valuation, you also want to understand who are the people on the higher valuation multiples, because whoever is in the 7, 10x will be the best in class, and whoever is in the middle would be considered an average one, and whoever is in the lower end, well, if you fall on that angle, then you want to really make sure that you see who is in those higher valuation multiples in your industry to see what they're doing, and basically create, incorporate it into your plan of action. Well, I hope this was very useful. I try to keep my solo episodes, very small, just because I know you guys are in a rush, and I don't want to be, talking to you for like a full hour. There's no need. I'm very to the point. But if you do have any questions, comments, please feel free to contact me. My information is all over the internet. It's also on the platforms that you're listening to. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to hear about you. I really would love to see which one has been your favorite episode. And if you have any ideas or somebody that you want for me to interview, please go ahead and share that with me. And yeah, I hope I get to hear from you soon. And happy great 4th of July. Be safe out there, and I will see you till next time.